Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with the daily technical updates. It is Friday, the 11th of April, so it will be interesting to see and crucial to see where we end the week when the day is gone and market is closed, so we can look a little bit further ahead and see where we could be headed towards Easter. This video is for educational purposes only. There's no recommendation or advice intended whatsoever. So let's get cracking, and we'll start with Google, Alphabet, C-share, and it hit some interesting levels, or key levels. It dropped below the 148 support, but then it bounced strongly to just a few cents around the 161 resistance, and then we had a little bit of a setback. We are still in a bearish trend, and there is risk lower on the weekly, as we can see. So if it starts taking out 148 again, well, then we could be looking at levels around 136, 131 at these low levels here, and the 200 weekly moving average. Looking just at the semiconductor index, or the SOXX iShares, semiconductor iShares, that bounced strongly Wednesday to the 61.8 retracement of this leg down here, and then it got set back again, and it could come under pressure. There is a little bit divergence indicating trend exhaustion, but on the weekly there's still potential lower, but we were very close to these lows here back in Q4 2023. So we could be in exhaustive mode, but it is not 100% decided just yet. The overall indices and S&P500, well, a strong bounce and then a setback. It didn't close that gap there, but it did close this gap here. So it needs to at least close the gap up here to 5,522. Then maybe it could start building a move up to 5,800 and then close the excuse me, the top reversal pattern. But I'm not optimistic about it here. Pre-market, we are up a little bit, as we can see here, about 0.5%, but really needs to get back about 5,522. The Nasdaq 100 also quite depressed, massive sell-off, and then it bounced, of course, and then here we have no divergence on the RSI, indicating we could see lower levels, could see a move down to the around the 16,000. It is not likely. I'm not saying that, so it's not a recommendation advice, but it could happen if there's some more bad news that market doesn't like in terms of tariffs and other stuff. So let's see here. We can also see that yields have started crawling higher, so that could also affect the market, obviously. So there is still a risk down to this level around 16,000, where we have the 200 weekly moving average coming up. No divergence on daily and weekly, so that's a key 0.7% higher pre-market. If it takes out the peak from yesterday, well, we could see a push up towards 20,000. I'm not quite sure we'll get up to 20,300 level, but it is possible if it does that. The Dow Jones Index, more or less the same picture, really. Dip below 37,611 minor support there. Still risk down to the 200 moving average and below 37,000, but it was a massive sell-off. However, what we can also say is it was actually a bullish engulfing, taking out several bearish days, and we saw that across the other indices. So maybe that was the bottom and reversal, but stay vigilant. It is extreme times, and volatility is quite large. Seng had a fairly okay day today, crawling a little bit higher, could bounce further, and what we can do, we can add a little bit of Fibonacci here. Normally I prefer to do it to the future because that's the entire market, but the cash market is the actual the real market, so to speak. We are still in a bearish trend, but if it starts closing a gap down, and let's just do a horizontal line here, if we start doing 20,264, if it takes out that, then I think we could see also the 19,000 coming under pressure. but it was bottom reversal pattern here, but there's still negative sentiment on the RSI. On the CFD that is still trading, we can see bouncing further a little bit, and makes more sense to add Fibonacci to this one. And we have almost reached 38.2 retracement. It really needs to get back about 21,600 for further upside, getting it back in the cloud there. On the EUROSTOXX 50 market is open. I was a little bit late this morning, sorry about that. Bouncing almost up to the 5,000 level, just a few euros below. Start trying to crawl a little bit higher, but we're still in a bearish trend. There is, as we can see here, diverging. You see this value here is lower than higher than this one, but market here is lower here than here. So we could see this could be the bottom and reversal, but here we have the CFD actually. So we really need to get back above 5,068 too, and then we have some resistance up already here around 5,120. That will be key, and then the gap here will also be key. If we start taking out 4,700, well, then trend could resume and selling pressure could resume. On DAX, rejected at 21,250, key resistance, and the 100 moving average. If it's sliding lower and start closing this gap here down to where it closed at 20,280, then bearish trend is likely to resume. But if it can close above 21,291, then we could see further bounce up to around 22,000. Euro dollar climbing higher yesterday and continuing today, and we have to look at the weekly charts to see where it's headed, and just zoom out. 114.80, where we have some bit of resistance, and as we can see here, going way back to 2022, just around here, could spike up to 115, but there's potential higher in energy from this massive correction here. Could actually spark it to 116.30, maybe 117, where we have some resistance in this area, but bullish trend, and that's what it seems like, really a euro dollar move that means something. We have the sterling dollar, the cable as it's called, also bouncing, and let's just zoom out a little bit so we can see, almost reaching, and I think we'll do that by the end of the day, at least 131, the 786 retracement of this correction here, and then it could possibly move higher. No divergence, it seems, on the RSI, and it could lead to a push up to 134. Euro sterling also on the move, and on weekly we'll see where it is also headed. It's always it's on ways to 87.5, 87.70, which is this area here back from October, November, I think it was, in 2023. So it really has turned the tide, and we are now in a strong bullish trend. Dollar yen yesterday, after several attempts and being rejected and bounced back from 144.80, broke through in the late session last night, and following through in the Asian session, and now trading at 143, and as we can see here on the weekly chart, it seems on its way to 140.25, and could actually drop all the way down to 137, where we have some strong support, and the 200 moving average coming up. Negative sentiment and no divergence on both weekly and daily, pointing to lower levels. Euro yen, on the other hand, still caught in this range here between 164 and 158, spiked down to that, and it seems now crawling higher. If RSI moves back above 60 threshold, then I think we'll see Euro yen pushing towards 165. Aussie yen, very volatile, still in a bearish trend, lower lows, lower highs, and could make a new lower low if it takes out 86. Well, then there's not really much support until, and we have to go really far back. Strong support is, there is a little bit of support here where it's spiked and turned around in this region around 84.30, and then we are talking about 80 levels. So let's see if we get to that. It's not a given. If it takes out the past couple of days peaks at 91.35, well, then we could see a push up to 93, maybe 94 in the upper falling trend line. Sterling, yen, also trading sideways here, but in a bearish trend, so just trying to maybe bounce back, but I think it will also push lower if it takes out the lows here from a few days ago and 183.75. Then we're looking 180.5, where there's some support, and let me just add that also there is some support in the region around 178. Aussie dollar, massive bounce. Aussie dollar did, and I think maybe, testing the lower part of the cloud here, could spike up to the 786 retracement at 62.87. But then we have the 55 moving average and we have the 100 moving average coming down, giving some resistance there. So I think either it will turn around now, or maybe spiking a little bit higher and then collapse back. But if it goes back, moves above 63 and can stay above the cloud, well, then there is potential to also take out 64. But I think we will see it sliding lower here in the coming towards the weekend and also into next week. Dollar Canada keeps declining, and we can see it's very close to 138.80 support. And the next one, and I think we just need to zoom out a little bit. Let me just resize it, reset it. So we are looking at 138 and a quarter, 138.20, possibly down to 137.5. There is a risk at the moment in dollar Canada. Sterling Canada seems to just clustering around the 182, 181, just above 180. Kind of make up his mind. There's a battle going on. Bouncing from the 100 moving average, but the 55 seems to give a little bit of resistance. So I think we could stay sideways here. What I would say is that either it takes out, this is the range I will look out for direction with all the volatility going on. I know it's a wide range, but that's how it is, 179.80 and 182.85. EURSWISS lower yesterday, bouncing a little bit this morning, but it is in a bearish trend. However, this is key towards, if it takes out 92.10, if it takes out 92, then we have to go really far back to see where we will then find some support. We are actually back to this, what we call the Swiss incident, when the ceiling or the floor, depending on how you look at it, was removed by the Swiss National Bank in January 2015, and the lowest there was 89.78, around that level, so just below 90, and that's the risk we're looking at the moment. So it seems to be headed that way, but there's still some support in this region here where we are trading at the moment. The dollar Swiss, massive sell-off, and it's actually basically the same picture as the EURSWISS. We have to go all the way back to 2015 to see to find some levels. It has taken out all the lows here, and there's not really much supporting it. Really like a free falling towards 77.80 level at the moment. Will we reach it? It's hard to say, but there's no divergence on the RSI, both daily and weekly, indicating that we could see lower levels. The dollar index below 100, taking out the support there. Next one is 99 and a quarter. It's not the strongest one. We could see it down here below 99 and 98.60 in this consolidation area here. That could give a little bit of support, but I think we will see it pushing lower in the coming week. Gold is pushing higher, and just resized there. We could see it just went straight through overnight, and is headed towards 3,248, the 138.2 projection of this correction here. I think we could see it push up to around 3,300 fairly shortly, possibly. And next week, to really turn this around, it needs to take out 29.56, and there's nothing suggesting that at the moment. There is a divergence building up. but for now, trust the trend. The trend is pointing to higher levels towards 3,300. Silver struggling at the 100 moving average, but I think it will slowly try to push towards the 61.8 retracement at 32.20, but it will be a struggle. We are in the cloud. We have the 100 moving average that will give some resistance, but we could see a spike up there. Then I think it will set back a little bit. So it's struggling to keep up with gold. Also, copper, after a massive sell-off, it did actually form a bullish engulfing. You can see it actually engulfs this candle body here. So that is a bottom reversal pattern, but it needs to get back above the cloud area. And there is some strong resistance here in the form of the 100 moving average. If it can get back above 450, then maybe we could see a push up to around 486, the 61.8 retracement. Crude oil here, WTI crude oil, that has bounced off 55. That was below the 57.25 support, so it actually dipped below that and then bounced. They couldn't hold it down there. If they could have, then it would push down to 51.5, maybe even the $50. If it takes out the peak from yesterday, then expect to move up to around 65.20, 65.75, and the 61.8 retracement. But if it takes out the lows from yesterday, then I actually think that it will start pushing towards and trying to take out this low here at $55 once again. Same picture on or almost a similar picture on Brent crude oil. If it takes out the peak from yesterday at 66.07, well, then I think we'll see a push up to just around $69. But if it starts sliding lower now here, and it could take out the 58.40 lows and push lower towards 54.5. The European gas opened lower this morning, just above support at 32. If it takes out and closes above the candle from yesterday, it has engulfed it, and that's a bullish engulfing, the bottom reversal patterns. But let's see about that. It's not there yet. I have added the Fibonacci just in case this is a low and a bottom reversal. But if it takes out the lows today, well, then expect to push down below 32, down to around 30 euros. The US nat gas, well, caught in this range, and I will actually adjust these and say that will be the range, and I will add another one to this and say okay, if it takes out 334, push down to around $3. If it takes out 383, then maybe we could see it's trying to get back up here, but there will be some resistance in the form of the 21 and the 55, especially pushing down here, giving it a hard time to actually turn the tide, and I don't think it will do that. I think it will slide lower. Yields are crawling higher. Here we have the US 10-year Treasury yields, closed yesterday above 4.40, and now it seems to try to get back above the cloud. RSI currently above 60 threshold. If it can close above 60 threshold, then it will actually confirm bullish trend, and then we can remove this. So I will actually remove it just right now. And here on the weekly, we'll see massive bullish engulfing, taking out the last week's sell-off and also the previous week, and actually all this, and that could spell some trouble in the coming weeks and maybe months if it can get it back to cloud, and if this stays. If it slides back and back below 430, back below the 55 moving average, then downtrend is likely to resume with a push down to 410 and lower. The 2-year, well, also bounced quite strongly, spiked above 786 retracement, but is lagging a little bit. If it takes out the peak from yesterday, 395, then we're looking at 404 and possibly up to 415, which is a key level, and to get back above the cloud. But then it also has the 55, the 200, and the 100 moving average to deal with, and that could be a bit of a struggle. So it seems still a little bit depressed on the shorter yields. On the European yields, well, we saw a drop yesterday after it tried to bounce higher, but we are still caught in this range here, this gap area that it didn't really close. Yes, it spiked low, but it didn't close below. So if it takes out the peak from yesterday, and I will actually add a trend line. If we add this one and say, okay, if we get above 272, well, then a bullish trend is likely to resume. The UK 10-year massive volatility, that is of course 482, it needs to take out, then we'll be looking at 5%, but for now it still stays sideways. And finally on crypto, well, it's still staying above the 74,000. Can it build an uptrend, or will it take out these lows there? I will actually add this horizontal line there. If it takes out that level 74,420, then there is potential much lower towards 70,000. Ethereum bounced off the just below 1,400. If it can get back above the falling trend line and above especially 1,800, well, then there's potential up to 2,100. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend again today. Talk to you again Monday.